We pulled out of Kununurra, heading for Darwin, and it's a pretty good run across there too. It's a good road, and it was when we went up, we come up through the Kununurra track, so we didn't cross this bit, but it's a good road, and well, as it should be too. And we pulled up at this place called Big Horse Campground. Well, mate, not very big. Horse might be big, but the campground wasn't. And couldn't get in there for caravans, so I drove in and around and out, and I had to keep the van dead straight to get between the annex ropes, or the annexes on one side of the road and the back of the vans in the other. They got them packed in that tight. There's one of those ones with the little copper log rails around it. So I drove in through there, back around the circle, back on the highway, and pulled up at Pine Creek. No, double check that. Pine Creek. Timber Creek. Pine Creek's on the other road. Yeah, so we pulled up at Timber Creek and had a look around there. I found that really interesting. It's an old police station that was built in, hang on, we'll have a look here. It's 1898, and it initially was just a shed and a goat yard, and then in 1908 they built the corrugated iron and steel frame one to see now. I can't build anything out of timber because whitehead's there. So it's now a museum. But the interesting thing at the back is there's a big old tree, and it's called the hanging tree. That's where they used to hang the blackfellas. So they got the wires are still there. Yeah, they talk about people getting a hard time and whatever. Well, this is one time, and they used to hang them there, and they got a swivel chain at a hobble. If you know anything about horses, they tie their two front feet together, and they got what they call a hobble chain, and it's got a swivel in the middle so it can turn independent of each other. So they got that hanging on the tree, and then they got a bit of wire noose. So just hang the wire noose around the neck and just hang them there. And there's that much of it going on, it's actually cut through the bark of the tree, and you can see if the tree's still standing there. This is a while back, but the tree's dead, but they're trying to preserve it, and you can see where the wires have actually cut through the bark and cut into the bark into the wood of the tree. So yeah, that was a fairly gruesome sort of a setup, but it's the museum itself's got a lot of interesting stuff in it. And then we poked off from there, and we couldn't get off the road anywhere between there and Victoria River. We pulled up at this Victoria River Roadhouse. We ended up camping in there, booked into the site, and that is where we got our cover photo. That's on all these episodes. Got the same cover photo, and that's where that come from. Was taking a photo of the rig at the campground, which we normally do, and this bloke walked past and said, "You want me to take a photo of you?" So that's where that come from. So then we poked off from there to Kathrine. The idea was we were going to stay the night in Kathrine, and then just because we're on our way home now, on the home run. So we get to Kathrine, and mate, you couldn't get a park in the street, let alone a caravan site for the night. This was 10 o'clock in the morning or something. So we just drove around the block about 3 times, and I found a supermarket car park. So I just parked sideways across the parks there, and we walked over the street to the coffee club, sit there having a cup of coffee, and it's only a couple hundred k's to Darwin. We'll go to Darwin. So that's how we ended up in Darwin. Another place I want to check out one day is this old Buntine Highway. He's a bloke from Kathrine, and when I was busting my britches to drive trucks, and when I left home in the 70s, I was heading up the territory, because there was a rumour getting around that you didn't need any licence, any of that stuff, and you could get a job with this old Buntine just carting cattle out of the scrub. and he had a big road train fleet. And he started off as a drover and then a road train pioneer. And they dedicated a section of road that he opened up in called the Bundleman Highway. Yeah, so that's the track. I wouldn't mind having a wander down one day. But you get these people out here that sort of take their life into their own hands a little bit on these roads. It's wide open spaces. I don't know how they survive doing that. And then when you couple that with all the caravans and trucks and all that stuff, and this here 130 km/h speed limit, I don't think I'd like to be driving push bike out there in their back block country. But anyway, they do. We've seen them out Cameron's Corner and hey, all sorts of places where they shouldn't be. So anyway, after we had our coffee in Kathrine, the coffee club, and a bit of a sticky beak there for a bit, we end up in Darwin, and we booked into the caravan park. It's about 20 k's out of town. It's a pretty good park, got all the normal amenities, not flash one, but sort of stuff that we need, plenty of room, power and water and all that gear. And then the wharf here, they've got, this is the one that was actually bombed by the Japanese in World War II, and they've got that all revamped, that whole precinct now. They've got restaurants and museums and apartment buildings, and all sorts of stuff on there. So they spent a heap of money there. And then there's this tunnel in the wall, and this bloke walking his dog one day, and he found this door in the side of the cliff. So investigated. It turned out to be these fuel tunnels, and in the war they had fuel for ships stored in there. So they brought miners in from all over the place and dug these things, and they dug the tunnels and then concreted them and lined them with plate steel. And they were full of ship fuel. Know what that is? Diesel, I suppose. They would have been them days. And they were still storing fuel in it up until the 70s, I think it was, or somewhere fairly recently. And they storing kerosene in it, and they got a big cyclone, and it forced the water leaked in and forced the fuel at the top or something. So they closed them all down. But I think there's still a couple of them there that are not open to the public. We're still secret service business. But yeah, they're, what do they think, so they're 270 metres long or something. There's about 5, 6 of them there, I think. But you walk all through them, and then they got the pictures and all the storyboards and all that sort of stuff all through them. Pretty spectacular sort of a thing. And they only started doing it when Japanese military became a threat, started bombing the place, and they started building them, so they did a pretty good job. And then you go out to there's a few other places around here where they there's a lot of things dedicated to World War II there, because it was bombed and flattened, and these funny little birds sitting up on this perch up here. You go out to the I can't think of the name of that joint now either, but it, where these bunkers are, and they built those big bunkers, and they could fire, I forget how far out to sea, but a long way, and they never ever got fired. They commissioned them, never ever got used because the war finished, and then they pulled them down and sold them to the Japanese for scrap metal. So that's, yeah, things work in mysterious ways. There's a picture of the gun, but they were huge friggin' things. So it's all parkland out there now, so it's dedicated to the military museum. It's a good museum there, and these a lot of those brick things you've seen back there a minute ago, they were bunkers dug into the side of the cliff, but the cliff's slowly falling into the sea, so they're disappearing. So they're probably not even there anymore now. They had a couple of cyclones since these photos were taken. That's the old woman's prison. There's another place to look at there is where these fish come in, these wild fish, and they hand feed them. And certain times, tide change I think it is, and they hand feed them. You get bread and stuff to feed them, and they come in there by the hundreds. Anyway, that's about all it was for Darwin for that trip. We pack her up and head of home. Said about down back to Rocky Boy Townsville, about 3,000 k's I think it is, near enough, round numbers anyway, 3,000 k's. So, and that'll be the end of this trip. So we'll see where we go for the next one. Might be a Chuka, maybe. Catch you there. Join us to have a look at that one. Where are we going next?
I don't know. That way?